1841. William Henry Harrison stands before a massive crowd, taking the oath of office as the 9th President of the United States. In his inaugural address, he speaks with a heavy sense of duty, acknowledging the magnitude of the power that the people have just handed him. But his time at that desk was incredibly brief. Just 32 days into his term, Harrison contracted pneumonia and died. His tenure remains the shortest of any president in American history. Across the country, citizens mourned a battle-hardened frontier hero they had only just promoted to the highest office in the land. This sudden loss placed the young republic in a precarious position, testing the resilience of a constitution that had never before faced the death of its leader. Harrison built his reputation far from the drawing rooms of Washington. In the 1790s, he served as an aide-de-camp to General Anthony Wayne, fighting a grueling campaign against the Miami Indians in the Northwest Territory. That frontier grit earned him an appointment as the governor of the Indiana Territory. For 12 years, he managed a vast, volatile region, tasked with enforcing frontier justice and aggressively acquiring Native American land for white settlement. The tension over this land expansion boiled over in the fall of 1811. Near a river called Tippecanoe, a confederacy of Native American warriors launched a surprise dawn attack on Harrison's camp. Harrison mounted his horse, rallied his men in the dark, and repelled the assault. His success at Tippecanoe earned him national command. During the War of 1812, he took charge of the Army of the Northwest, ultimately defeating British and Native forces at the critical Battle of the Thames. Over 2 decades, Harrison survived ambushes, managed massive territorial treaties, and won decisive battles. By the time the shooting stopped, he was firmly cemented in the public mind as a battle-tested American icon. Trading his uniform for a suit, Harrison moved smoothly into peacetime politics, served in the House of Representatives, the Ohio State Senate, and eventually the United States Senate. All of this set the stage for the presidential election of 1840. Running alongside John Tyler on the Whig ticket, Harrison introduced something American voters had never seen before: the log cabin campaign. The Whig Party framed their candidate as a simple, cider-drinking frontiersman. They contrasted Harrison's rustic, down-to-earth image with the incumbent, Martin Van Buren, who they painted as a wealthy, out-of-touch elitist. The strategy was brilliant. The campaign rolled giant canvas balls through the streets, handed out whiskey in log cabin-shaped bottles, and popularized the hit song Tippecanoe and Tyler Too. Harrison won an electoral landslide. By weaponizing physical pageantry, catchy slogans, and an origin story that voters can connect with, Harrison demonstrated that populism and spectacle were now the primary keys to the White House. But that brings us back to April 1841. The hero of the frontier is dead, and the federal government is suddenly paralyzed. Take a look at the specific text of Article 2, Clause 6 of the Constitution as it was written then. It states that in the case of a president's death, the powers and duties of the office shall devolve on the vice president. But it didn't clarify if the vice president actually became the president, or if he was just an acting caretaker. Vice President John Tyler refused to leave any room for doubt. He moved into the White House, took the presidential oath of office, and claimed the full title and authority of the presidency, establishing what is now known as the Tyler President. Harrison's sudden death forced the nation to answer a terrifying legal question. The Constitution survived the stress test, creating a practical mechanism for the peaceful transfer of power during a severe executive crisis. Harrison's body was returned to Ohio in a river procession of black-draped barges. Today, he rests under a towering stone obelisk on the summit of Mount Nebo in North Bend. The location of the tomb is fitting. From that summit, you can look out over the wide northward sweep of the Ohio River, the very frontier valleys he spent his entire adult life defending and developing. His commitment to public service even extended down his family tree. Nearly 50 years later, his grandson, Benjamin Harrison, would be sworn in as the 23rd president. Harrison's 40-year career, stretching from the battlefields of the Northwest Territory to the White House, provided the Republic its first true test of succession, defining the transition of power for every presidency that followed.